Today on the Tim Marner podcast show, we've got Kelly McFadden, the Director of Fundraising and Communications at, but do we say Bolton Lads and Girls Club or are we BLGC?
BLGC officially, but I think everyone still knows us as Bolton Lads and Girls Club, so...
Right.
Yeah.
There's a story that, someone told me, but I don't know the ins and outs of it, about this thing you did at Christmas, and it was about a little girl.
Yeah.
And you put it, can you tell me that story? Because someone's only given me little snippets of it.
Yeah, so every year at Christmas, we get a list from the youth club, from the targeted youth services of young people and family that won't have presents this Christmas. And next to it is a present that the young person wants, the name, the age and a present. And obviously, you'd think kind of the things that young kids would ask for, football tops, Xbox games. So anyway, this list landed on my desk. And I was looking through it, and it was things like socks, a key ring, and then there was one young girl, Millie, age 9, a red apple and a Milky Bar, and that's what she wanted for Christmas, genuinely. And I just, as soon as I got it, I sobbed at my desk. I was sobbing. And then I just put a post on LinkedIn, just like really organically, a picture of the list, and just put Millie, age 9, red apple and Milky Bar. Like, this is the state of poverty in Bolton and Greater Manchester at the minute, and it just blew up. Yeah, it went...
Got me that when you just said that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what she put.
Red apple and a Milky Bar, yeah. And yeah, the post just went viral. We had people from America, Ireland donating, and people sent apples, Milky Bars, iPads. They said if she wants an apple, she can have an iPad. And that Christmas, we made sure every single young person, and then some, we went to hospitals and delivered the rest of the presents that we had left over, because we were inundated, because Millie just touched the hearts of so many people.
What was were you allowed to do that? Let me talk about, I'm not going to get into the red tape and what needs to be done. Obviously, BLGC is a business as well as a charity.
Yeah, of course.
Was it frowned upon you doing that?
I think you're right. I think charities have to be businesses now to make money. Yeah. And I think there was some side of the charity, which I think is the same in every charity, who felt like it was wrong to put out not exploiting is too big a word, but it just felt wrong to talk about that young girl and her kind of life. And I did make her name anonymous. She wasn't actually called Millie. So there was conversations internally about that, whether that was the right thing. But my kind of argument was, that's life. That is real life. That's what's happening on our doorsteps. We need to talk about it, because otherwise, where's the change? People are really ignorant. And I think some of it's because people just want to kind of bury their head in the sand and not think that this is actually happening on the doorsteps. And I think unless we keep talking about the way that things are, then there won't be any change. We can't go out and pretend everything's brilliant and happy and young people and families are having wonderful Christmases when they can't afford to turn the heating on, they don't have blankets, they don't have beds, they don't have presents, they don't have food. If we don't talk about it, then what difference are we going to make? So there was a lot of internal conversations about it, and in the end we kind of all agreed that it was okay. It was the right thing in the end, but a few staff were a bit upset at the time.
Yeah, I don't think there was an internal communication. I just think you put it on, Kelly, because it touched your heart so much and you just went, fuck it.
Well, yeah, I definitely did put it on. I didn't ask anyone. I just put it straight on, and then the internal conversations happened after obviously, I wasn't thinking at the time. All I was thinking is, oh my God, that's horrendous. And I just posted it, because in that moment, I was just overwhelmed with like the emotion of it. And I thought, someone else is going to feel what I'm feeling here. And people did.
How did you come to this role in the first place? What's your background? Why are you so, I don't know, there's sort of a trauma attached to this position.
This is a big story. So, when I was 22, I was just living with my sister in Salford. We going out all the time, living life like a 22-year-old. I had a job in sales, commission, was enjoying my life. And then one night, went out. The next day, I woke up and I felt really sick. But I thought I was just hungover. I thought I'm just rough. Hangover was really bad. Anyway, struggled to get through the day being sick. And then my sister came in my room later on in the night and she just said, like, you don't look well at all. And I said, I feel horrendous. And she was like, you're a bit yellow. And I was like, yeah, I don't feel right. Next day, I went to a walk-in centre because I just still felt awful. Long story short, my appendix burst. So what I thought was a hangover was actually my appendix burst. and I ended up in hospital for about 8 months on and off after that, because I got sepsis, I got peritonitis, which is poisoning of your stomach lining. My weight dropped down to 4.5 stone. I couldn't eat. I was on drips, food and high calorie drinks. They thought that I would never be able to eat again. They said that they thought my digestive system had just shut down, and that was it. I remember being in the hospital, and it was Easter weekend, and I really wanted to go home because I'd been in for ages, and I was just begging them, can I just go home for Easter weekend and see my family? And they said to me, if you leave this hospital, your electrolytes are that low, you're probably going to die. And I remember thinking, oh wow, like this is actually really serious. So yeah, I was in hospital for about 8 months on and off. Started having seizures all the time, so I couldn't be left alone. Everything just, they said my body just went into trauma, and just kind of things were just shutting down. So that was obviously a really tough time. When I got better, I was still having seizures, so I had to move back in with my mum and dad because I kind of needed to be looked after round the clock. There was one night I had a seizure, and my sister had said goodnight and gone in her room, and then she just heard this noise and she came running in, and I was choking, having a seizure. Like, my sister probably saved my life more times than I can count on my hand. So then I started to slowly get better.
How did you?
Just managed to start keeping bits of food down, managed to get my weight back up. I was on massive concoction tablets. They managed to get my seizures under control through tablets. Still take tablets now every day to stop me having seizures. And they just managed to kind of start stabilising things. Obviously it took a while because I was really frail and thin, and I started going back to work part-time, just doing what I could do. And it sounds really cliche, but I just had that moment of like, life is so short. And I used to get that Sunday night dread, that horrible, I've got a week of work this week. And I just thought, there's more like to life. And I wanted to do something that would make me feel happy and make me feel fulfilled. And I felt like I'd been given a second chance at life. So after that, because of what I'd been through as well, I realised how little help there was for people. So if I didn't have my parents to help, my mum and my family helped pay my rent because I couldn't afford to pay because I wasn't working. If I didn't have all that around me, I just don't know what I would have done. So I decided that I wanted to do something to help other people in a similar situation, whether it was a family looking after a child that was sick or whether it's a young adult that's sick. So I went on this mission, and I was only 23 at the time and still a bit sick, to set up my own charity.
Really?
Yeah, to help people. So that's what I started doing. So I was working part-time and I was setting up my own charity, which I did do. I did it for a couple of years. Did some really amazing stuff. Sent a woman to Germany for immunotherapy treatment for cancer, bought electric wheelchairs for people, just a massive range. People would come to me and say, can you help me with this? And I'd find a way of getting the money and helping them do it. And it just kind of ticked over like that. But obviously it was a lot. I was 23. I was still not 100% in my health. So in the end, I was just like, well, there must be a way that I can combine this like passion that I've got now to help people and it not all be on me, because it's actually really tough. So I saw a job at Bolton Lads and Girls Club. It was community fundraiser. Obviously a lot less money than what I was doing at the time, but that didn't matter anymore. Like, I wasn't bothered about that at all. So I just applied for the job and I got it. And that was it really. That's where this story began.
What was the first things that you started doing when you went in there?
Bolton Lads and Girls Club.
Yeah.
Standing on the street with a bucket.
Were you?
Community fundraiser, yeah. So I was like going to community events and being out in the town centre or in shops and stuff. Yeah, just things like that really. And then obviously worked my way up from there.
How did you work your way up?
Well, a few things happened really. Like the head of fundraising left not long after I was there. So they moved the events manager's head of fundraising. So they asked me if I would take over the events, so I did. So I started, and I had no massive experience in that, but I just started doing it. Just got thrown in and did that. And then they asked if I'd step up to fundraising manager, and then head of fundraising, and then they asked me to take over the marketing and communications as well. And then here we are today.
You just went like that?
Yeah.
Kelly, can you do this? Kelly, can you do this? Can
you do this?
Just did it. And you just took it all on board?
Yeah, I think as well, because like, I love my job, like, you know that. Anyway, I absolutely love my job. I feel like, genuinely, I was put on this earth to help people. Like, I genuinely do feel like that now. And I think I always say that what happened to me was the worst thing, but the best thing that ever happened, because it gave me, I'm a different person, a completely different person. It gave me a whole different outlook on life. It's put me on the career path that I'm on now. So yeah, I wouldn't be where I was if it wasn't for what had happened.
So to explain to people, just what are some of the things that Bolton Lads, BLGC do, just so other people know what kind of things that you do.
A little bit of everything, really. So we call ourselves a bit of a one-stop shop for children, young people and families in Bolton and now Greater Manchester as well, further afield. It's a safe place for young people to come to, first and foremost. It's somewhere to get them off the streets. There's always someone in there for them to talk to, whether it's about a problem that they might have or just an ear, just someone to listen to. It's a warm place, which a lot of our young people need at the minute. There's food. And on top of that, there's a range of different activities, so chances that they might not have in their home life to get involved in, whether it's sports, whether it's employability, giving them a push up the ladder to help them get into education or training or jobs. We've got counselling services, mental health services. We're seeing 80% of the referrals coming through to our mental health service at the minute are young people with self-harm. And we see that ourselves on the floor of an evening. Young people are really struggling at the minute.
The one thing that struck me when Vic was taking me around about these kids thinking about suicide.
Yeah.
It comes into the mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, surely not.
And that's kids as young as 8 years old.
Surely not.
Yeah.
I'm like, you just can't fathom it, can you?
You can't comprehend it, but yeah, kids as young as 8 are having suicidal thoughts. We've got 14 mental health practitioners now, which is just crazy. But that's the state of play at the minute with young people. So
this BLGC is just this safe place where they can go. How much does it cost? And like, not from a personal, it's free to
it's
some.
Free, yeah.
Other people pay or?
No, so it's completely free to come in. Food is free as well. Some young people will bring a bit of money if their families can afford it for food or tuck shop, etc. Everything involves free. Everything apart from the football section. If you're obviously in the football team, then that's different, you pay subs, but everything else is completely free. With
everything you're going on, because like, you're a bit like Santa, aren't you? Because like they've sent these lists into you, and with a person, you're attaching your emotions to this. How do you detach yourself from them as well? And how do you keep your mental health in check?
I think it would be a lie to say that you completely detach yourself, because I don't think you can. Like, how can you go in and read about something like that or see a young person, because obviously we're in the club every day, and not take it home with you? But I just kind of use it to drive me to do more. Obviously the mental health team that we've got at the club and the staff that deal directly with the young people, I don't know how they do it. Like, I would struggle hearing one-on-one from a young person. If a young person was telling me about suicidal thoughts, etc., I would struggle with that. But I use the stories about Millie, for example, as ammunition to just do more, do better, do more.
What is more? What does that look like?
Oh well, we have to raise 2.3 million a year to do everything that we do, and it's getting harder and harder.
What is that 2.3? Keeping the lights on where you've got everything working in the thing?
Yeah, absolutely everything.
Anything above that is just a bonus?
Yeah, anything above that is a bonus, so that's paying for every single service. If we don't hit that 2.3, then a service has to go. That's just the way that it is. Things are tight. If we don't raise that money, then that's a service that's at risk. At the minute, we're in a situation where we're having to turn young people away of an evening at the door because we're having to cap the numbers because we don't have enough staff, because we can't afford to pay the staff. So that's not a position we want to be in, but things are really tight at the minute for everybody, and we're seeing that. I think after COVID, that obviously kind of hit the cost of living, but I would say this has been the toughest year. I've been there 8 years now, and this for me has been the toughest year.
What's the reason for that? The main reason for it?
I think it's just a mix. I think businesses are tightening the belts. I think cost of living crisis, it's just getting harder and harder. People are spending less. We do events like the beer festival. Obviously we did that a few weeks ago. Massive event, always a huge success. But we saw a decline in the amount of money that people are spending because people just don't have the free income anymore to go and spend.
Bad that, innit?
Yeah. But we just keep going, don't we?
That's all you can do, innit?
Yeah, exactly. And I think obviously having my own little boy now as well is just an extra kind of push for me. He's an extra inspiration to just...
Can't believe that kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was only yesterday, weren't it?
I know.
She was off and she's back. Like, what happened? I've had a kid.
Just had a child.
It's a year. It's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah.
What is what is it for people to understand? They've got to come down to the club, have they not? To really understand, instead of just ticking this box that some people have, to come down and actually spend a bit of time there. How do we get people down there to understand?
I think that's the hardest part. Obviously, you've been down yourself, Tim, and I think when you walk in and you see it and you hear about it, you can't not want to be involved in some way, but it's just getting people to give a little bit of time. There's so many amazing causes out there. I'd be naive to think that anybody I'm trying to speak to ask them to donate to us isn't probably getting 5 other charities that same day asking them to donate. So it's just trying to get someone to give you that 20 minutes, half an hour to just come down and see what we do and see if we can align in some way to make the children and families' lives better. I think as well, if the local Bolton, Greater Manchester, like I said, it's about not shoving it in people's faces, but like people need to know.
It's shoving it in people's faces.
It's shoving it in people's faces.
I think that's the problem with BLGC. This is from my opinion, that they're scared of shoving it in people's faces, and it needs shoving in people's faces.
I also think as well, for some reason, there's this massive misconception with us that we've got loads of money.
Yeah, again, this is my opinion, not your opinion, okay? When I come down, I'm like, you don't need my help because this building looks sick as fuck.
Yeah.
Right? And it's been done up too well.
Yeah.
And you go in and the vinyl prints on, I'm just like, okay, now these are raking in.
Yeah, that's not true. And I think that's the story that we need to get out there, because the refurb was done by 3 private can't even say that word, philanthropists. So it wasn't any fundraised income at all, and we hadn't had any refresh or facelift since 2001. So if you'd seen the building before, it was really tired, and we want to have the most inspiring facilities to inspire the young people that come in and to make them want to come in, because as soon as they're in, we can then help them. It could be that they've got things going on that nobody knows about, and we can get them in, we can get them to open up, and we can help them if they need help, or if they just want to come down, have a good time and eat some food and be safe and warm, then we can do that as well. So yeah, that's definitely a massive misconception.
Massive misconception.
And it goes against us so much. We don't know, like, we talk about it a lot. We've been in the Bolton News and spoke about kind of our fundraising efforts, and obviously Bolton Hospice have been in the news fairly recently about, I think everyone's struggling, like I said, but people seem to look at us and think that we're all right, and we're not. So yeah. And the problem is more and more young people and families need help. The demand is ever increasing and the funds are going down.
Apart from the Millie one story, what other stories have you got? Let's change some names. What other stories have got that really resonated with you?
Gosh, there's quite a few.
I know I've put you on the spot.
You have, but I can definitely think of a few. So there was a young boy. So we've got a mentoring program. So this matches a volunteer mentor with a young person, and it's basically just to be a role model. So to give them a listening ear, to be that kind of like constant in their life that they might not have for one reason or another. So we had a young boy on the mentoring program, and a business owner in Bolton, I won't say his name, he was matched as his mentor. And all this little boy wanted was for somebody to go and watch him play football on a Saturday, because his parents were both substance users. So he would turn up to football and all of his teammates would have their families there cheering him on. Don't you make me cry. And he wouldn't have anybody. So that's all he wanted. So the business owner used to just take him every Saturday and stand on the sidelines and watch him play football. And for that little boy, that was the world. And for that man, it was 2 hours on a Saturday. Yeah.
Thanks for that. Oh my God.
I know,
ridiculous.
I know.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is the mentoring program. Talk to me about that then, because I don't know if everybody knows that side of it.
Yeah, so it's, like I said, it's mentor and IVs. So it's young people. They could be at home or they could be in care. And it's just, they just need a bit of extra support. The family have to agree to it, or their caregiver has to agree to it, and the young person has to agree to it as well. So it has to be a self-referral, and it's just someone that meets with them every fortnight, and it's just their constant. So it could be that they go and watch them play football. It could be that they come to the club. They might have specific goals that they want to work on. So another example is a young boy who had he wasn't going into school and nobody knew why.
But it's really cold.
I know, sorry. I know.
Shit. How do I feel like a little bit of story in my life, that, to be honest.
Oh, don't.
How do I become a mentor?
You just need to drop us a message.
Well, let me drop you a message now then, because
Okay.
I feel like I need to be for some reason. That story.
Okay, yeah, fab.
Well, what do I do?
I'll send you the stuff over, and then we have like it's.
How do you know who gets matched with me or?
So we have like little bit of training. So you'll meet the volunteer coordinator who'll ask you some questions, and then they will match you based on your kind of personality and preferences as well. So, for example, you might want to be matched with a male. Because you might just think you'd get more and they would get more.
Yeah, I think so. I think I could help little Tim out. I feel like I'm doing this because I want to help little Tim out.
Yeah, and a lot of people do it for that reason.
Yeah.
And then you'll get matched based on, like I said, personality, etc. And then you have a little bit of training, safeguarding boundaries, and then your first meet will be with a staff member as well, just to make sure everyone's happy. And then it goes from there, really. You arrange the day every fortnight, whatever works for you and the young person. And yeah, you can do a variety of different things. Like I did it. So I did it with a young girl who had been moved to Bolton for safeguarding issues, so she'd been removed from her mum and dad, and she was in care in Bolton, in foster care family. And she was obviously a new area, didn't have anyone here that she knew, struggling in school because she just knew school. It's just a lot, isn't it? It's a lot to be removed from your parents. And she had cats with my mum and dad, and she wasn't allowed them at the foster family. So we just used to go and sit in the cat cafe for hours on a Saturday because she just wanted to be around cats because that was her kind of comfort. So yeah, I did it for like a year, and she had different goals that she wanted to work towards. Like she was struggling with her confidence, and she wanted to get into the choir at school. So we did that. We got her into the choir and stuff. So you get as much from it as that young person gets from it. We've got people that have mentored for like 15 years that just keep coming back and getting a new young person.
Mint that, innit?
Yeah, so good.
Anyway, that really resonated me to do that then. I'm going to do it.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
All right,
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
send you an
After that
email
story.
after this. Yeah.
Go on, give me another story. Do I really want another story? Just go on, give me another story.
Oh, to be fair, I'm not going to make you cry again. But another mentoring
I'm alright with
story.
crying, Kelly.
Yeah.
I'm alright
Do you
with
know what?
crying.
I
I'm
am.
alright.
So am I.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's cry then. Right, give me another story.
So this was another mentoring story. So it was a young person that wasn't going into school, and no one could figure out why. And then they matched with the mentor, built up trust, and they basically said to them that they'd had a load of antisocial behaviour on the bus and a load of bullying. So they were too scared to get on the bus to go to school. So what the mentor and the young boy did in the spare time was sit on a bus together. So they'd just get on the bus together and build up his confidence about getting on a bus. And then it got to the point then where he would get on the bus on his own and the mentor would drive behind the bus. So he knew that he was behind him if he needed him, but he was on the bus on his own. And then they practiced doing it to go to college. So in peak time, he got on the bus with him, but sat kind of behind him. So he was kind of still on his own. And now he goes to college on his own. He gets back on the bus.
Fucking hell, fire.
I know.
I can't believe it.
Honestly, like, whenever I talk about mentoring, I always say it's life-changing and life-saving. And people, like, until you get into the stories, people don't really get it.
Yeah.
But
it's just, why aren't we sharing these stories on BLGC? Why can't we share these stories but make them a bit anonymous?
Yeah, we do. Do you know, we do, but I just don't feel like we've got it right yet. We've still got a lot of work to do. We're struggling ourselves in terms of resource and staffing. Yeah. I think that we've just not got it right.
I'm going to do a quick shout out to Harriet Green. You made the wrong move, Harriet. Bye.
We love Harriet. We love Harriet.
I do love her, but yeah, you made the wrong move. You're going to Sidewood. See ya.
Don't post that. Delete that.
No way.
Delete that.
No, you've not said it. I've said it. Right, go on. So resources.
Yeah, and we've got a new staff member in now. She's called Ella. She's brill. She does a lot of videography work, so she's kind of really keen on, we need these videos, we need these real stories. I'm getting it out. So we've just literally had a meeting this morning with senior management where we've said we need to get these stories out. we need to do it. So, and everyone's in agreement. So yeah. Because things like the Millie campaign that we did, it wasn't even a campaign. Like I said, it was so organic. I wasn't even thinking in my head, I need to raise 30 grand and this is how I'm going to do it. I just posted it because it hit me here. And that was a one-off because it was so organic. But there's so many stories like that. Like there's a book of stories like that. And there's always going to be stories like that because it's young people's lives every single day. So we just need to get better at telling them.
What about bringing a book out for stories, BLG stories, putting some of these stories together in a book and then, you know, selling it?
We need to do something. We definitely need to do something.
You just got to look a little bit sideways, haven't you? And a little bit, how can we come at it from a little bit of a different angle? You know, like you said, everybody's tightening up the pockets and stuff like that. There's got to be different ways of, you know, helping these kids out. The mentoring thing I'm fucking definitely doing, but if that doesn't keep the lights on, that helps, like you said, changes and saves lives. It's a beautiful way of saying it, but how the fuck do we keep the lights on?
But with the mentoring and the befriending service, so like I said, some young people are in care, so you can. The problem with the young people in care is they can be moved at any given moment. So a lot of young people that are in care in Bolton aren't actually in Bolton; they kind of get sent wherever. So they could be in Bolton 1 week, and then 2 weeks later they might be in Preston, and then 2 weeks later they might be in Manchester. So a person that commits to mentoring them has to be able to travel and be willing to travel, because those young people need it probably more than anybody. They don't have anyone constant in their life. I forgot what I was saying now.
I don't know, you're fucking at me again. You're doing your head in.
Yeah, so but we've got a waiting list, that's where I was going. That we've got a waiting list of, especially for the young people in care, of a list of young people that have said, I need this, and we don't have the volunteers for it. There's a waiting list, to get a mentor or befriender.
A befriender?
It's the same with mentor, it's just different language.
Befriender?
Yeah.
That's weird. I don't know how to befriend somebody. It's weird that. Who's come up with that terminology?
I think it's like...
Yeah, somebody higher.
Terminology.
Yeah, oh my God. What is the most rewarding part of it for you? Do you still get up in the morning with like a smile? I think no matter what, wake up with a smile on your face. But what is it that like really?
It's everything. So I love my job, and I think part of that is because I do know I'm making a difference every day. Especially now, like I said, I've got my little boy. It's the stories that you hear, like although they do hit you. If I know that I'm then doing something to help that little boy or that little girl, then how can you not leave the day thinking, that was a pretty damn good day today? So it's that, and I think it's also, I speak to a lot of business owners week by week, and the amount of people that say to me, I started my business and I had this target in my head, I want to buy a Ferrari, I want to buy whatever, and then they get there and they're like, I'm so unhappy, Kelly. Like, I am so miserable. I thought I'd have all these feelings and I got it and nothing. Like, absolutely nothing. And then they say to me, I want to do something that fulfills me, that makes me feel good. And nobody ever gives and doesn't feel good. And that's not why you do it. But it does give you that sense of just knowing that you're doing something to make a change. And it's a really, really good feeling. So how can I not wake up with a smile and go to bed with a smile, because I spend all my day trying to help somebody that needs a bit of help. So even when I've had my own struggles in my life, and there's been times where I've felt like things are just rock bottom, I think that's what keeps me going as well. Because I know that I'm helping.
Do you know that? Did you actually sit there sometimes on your bed and realise the impact that you're making? Do you genuinely sit in that?
Yeah. I think sometimes I do. I think most of the time you just crack on, don't you? And you just get on with it, and it's just part of what you do. Before this podcast today, I sat down and thought, because I didn't know what you were going to ask me, and I sat down and thought about it, and I was like, how much money have I raised since I started? Like, how many lives have I changed? And it's them moments where you think, like, oh, bloody hell, like, I've not done too bad. Like, I've helped so many people. But it's definitely what gets me out of bed. And if you do have a bad day at work, which everyone does, everyone has a bad day. I love my job, but sometimes I have a shit day. But it's still is the driving force to just keep going, because whatever's happened in that day is nothing compared to what's happening for some of these kids. So.
How many lives have you changed? How much money have you raised?
Oh, I don't know.
Money. You don't. I thought you'd been asking yourself the question before the podcast.
I don't know how many lives. That would be a guess. About 7 or 8 million raised, maybe a bit more. That's a guess. About that.
Good, that, isn't it?
It's not bad, is it?
Yeah, it's meant that.
It's not bad. But,
A lot of pressure on you.
Yeah, there is, and I think some of it's internal pressure as well, because obviously, like I said, we see these kids, we hear these stories, and you want to do everything that you can. I think pressure-wise, obviously, we've got a new CEO, Emma, and that she knows that we all do the most that we can do. So there's never that kind of pressure. I think more of it, like I said, is internal pressure. We have targets to hit to make sure we can run every service. Like I said, if we don't hit the targets, the service doesn't run. And that's just the way that it is. And that service, there'll be at least one person on that service that really bloody needs that service. So it's internal pressure, I'd say, more than anything. But we've got a really good team, like really like close, tight-knit, all just kind of keep each other
motivated.
Going. Yeah. You've met most of them.
Yeah,
good eggs, aren't they?
Yeah, good eggs, all of them. Our Vic, our John.
Yeah.
Love them. The pressure that comes with it, that internal pressure, how do you deal with that? How do you cope with that when you go home? Obviously, you got a little lad now.
Yeah. Just do. So, like, obviously I work around the little boy, so like...
I don't think I could handle it, honestly.
Yeah.
I was there, and then obviously you just tell me one story, and I'm gone, me. I'm just like, fuck me, I can't do this. That for a full day, listening to them and being around that.
Yeah.
Because, you walk in and you can feel the pain on some of these kids.
Yeah, you
and I'm
really
like,
can.
I can't.
I suppose for me, I see the other side as well. So obviously I see all that, but then I'll go and pitch to a business who will say, give me X amount of money. And I know straight away, bam, that's going straight to that. So I kind of see that other side as well.
Yeah.
And we do hear like of the good outcomes and the positive outcomes. There's always a positive outcome for every horrible story. There's a positive one as well. I think obviously when I go home, switch to mum mode, get my little boy started, normally log back on when he goes to bed because there's just a lot to do.
So you're back on soon as after you put him to bed?
Yeah, because like I said, there's a lot to do, and I do genuinely love my job. I sound like a nerd, but I do.
You are a nerd.
I'm a proper nerd. I do love my job, and I think I love it so much because I know that I'm making a difference. Would I be logging back on if I didn't feel like I was making a difference? No. Like I said, when I worked in my sales job before I got sick, I was only doing it for money. I'd work extra hours for money. Whereas now, I don't work extra hours for money for me. I work extra hours for money for these kids and these families that need help. So, yeah.
Do you share that experience of where you got the sepsis?
Yeah.
Do you share that, do you?
I've shared it on LinkedIn recently.
Have you?
Yeah, and when I set up the charity 10 years ago now? 10 years ago. I shared it quite a bit then, when I was setting it up and stuff. And it's still like one of the best things, like I said, that I ever did. Like some of the stories, I still speak to some of the people now that I helped, and that's 10 years on. I got a message not that long ago from a mum of a young girl who's really sadly passed away now, and I'd done stuff for her, and she reached out a couple of months ago. So it's just, I just know that I've somewhere, somehow, my life has turned into me making a difference, and I love it. I feel like that's what I'm here for now, to be a mum and to make a difference. So,
yeah, the impact you've made on people's lives is insane, isn't it? Thinking about it. In fact, thinking about how many lives you've changed, I wonder how many lives you've saved. Do you think about that one?
No, I don't. Hopefully a few, though. I'd like to think that whatever I've put out there has helped somebody somewhere along the way.
Do you have the LinkedIn stuff that you're doing?
Yeah.
Right, so you're on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
What's the reason for you using LinkedIn? Is it to share this message?
Yeah, I think
of what's going on?
I think people build relationships with people, don't they? So we can post everything from the BLGC page and it'll gain some traction and some engagement. But I think if you are an authentic person and you're yourself, and you've probably seen all my stuff on LinkedIn is really authentic. Like, I don't put anything out. I talk about how shit sometimes are. I talk about the bad stuff as well as the good stuff, because I believe that's how you should be. And I think then you build proper relationships with people, and then they're willing to help you more. They're on board with you as well as the cause. And I think that's a massive part of the work that we do, that people engage with us as people as well.
Did you write a poem?
I did write a poem.
What was that?
It was about the riots, and not the riots, the uproar in Manchester recently.
Where did that come from?
Do you know what? I've always been into spoken word poetry, but I've never really had the confidence to do it. And then I did something for my sister's wedding, which everyone said was really good. And then, I've stayed up all night.
You're a big geek, aren't you? When you're into something, it's like you're into spoken poetry.
I didn't sleep all night that night because all these rhyming words kept coming to me. I was like, what is going on? So then the next morning I just did it, but that did quite well as well. LinkedIn, but
it was good, that. It was really good.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a left field curveball. Nobody ever knew that, did they? And then all of a sudden you're just spitting these verses. I'm like, what the fuck's you doing?
Might be a rapper next, but yeah, I don't know, it just came to me. Yeah, I've got embarrassed now.
It was brilliant.
Thanks.
It was fucking amazing.
Thanks. But I feel like...
You honestly, you know me, I'd be like totally honest, you show up as yourself on LinkedIn,
100%,
mate, right?
100%.
I see so much shit on the thing. You show up, you're showing up as yourself, exactly who you are.
But I think that's the best way to be, because I feel like if anyone thinks that I'm less of a person or a weaker person for me saying, I've been through a really shit time lately, I've hit rock bottom and I've started to build myself back up, then that's on them, that's not on me. Do you know what I mean? And I think even, for example, when I was pregnant, everybody I spoke to kind of talked about how amazing motherhood was and da-da-da-da-da. And it is, don't get me wrong, but after I had my son, I really struggled. And I sat there thinking, it's clearly only me, because everyone else is in Starbucks having a coffee with a baby on the knee, and I was really struggling. Because nobody tells you that. Nobody says to you, by the way, when you give birth, after the first few weeks after, you're going to feel horrendous. But it's true. So that's all. Whenever anyone says to me, or said to me throughout my maternity leave, how's being a mum, I'd be like, do you know what, it's amazing, but it's really, really tough. Really tough. And that doesn't make me any less of a mum for admitting that and saying that. It doesn't mean I love my son any less.
Yeah.
But it's shit sometimes, and I just don't think people seem too scared to say, this is shit, this has happened, that's a bit crap actually. When, what have you got to lose?
People judge you, don't you, by the cover, don't they?
Do you think?
Yeah, fucking 1,000,000%. It's just like, nah, she's not this deep. There's no way. She's about as deep as a puddle.
I went for a job interview. Somebody said, this was years ago. Went for a job interview at a charity, and the main guy said to me, my problem with you is I don't think anyone's going to take you seriously because you're just a dolly bird. And I was like, and then walked out, and now I'm director of fundraising somewhere else, so that's that. But yeah, maybe.
It's a bit of a running theme, that, though, isn't it? People thinking that.
Maybe.
Do you not reckon?
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
It's
maybe.
fucking sad as fuck. People thinking that. I think it's sad.
Yeah, but I think that's why, like you said, I just show up as myself on LinkedIn, and I'll just
people fucking hell.
Yeah. I've done it on my Facebook and Instagram as well, like I said, about having a little boy. And someone said to me once, why...
There's a right edge and grit about you, don't there? And this resilience that fucking nobody knows about.
Oh, yeah.
Just
and I think that's come from being sick. I think it has. I think that's come from being sick and building myself back up.
How low was it?
Oh, horrendous. I remember at one point sitting down with my mum and dad and my sister and just saying something. I was on so many tablets. I was like a zombie. I don't even remember most of the days because I was that tableted off my head because I had so many tablets for so many different things. And I remember saying to them, I don't want to take any more tablets, and if I die. I actually don't want to take any more tablets now. I've had enough. I don't feel like me. So it was crap. But like I said, setting up the charity then gave me something to kind of work towards. And
through them times, them real dark times, was there always a glimmer of hope? Did you always know you were destined for... Did you always know you were different?
No, and I don't think I'm different. I think, like I said, when I was sick, I wasn't even thinking about that. Like, I just got through that time, and I just sat and thought, oh my God, like, what if I hadn't have had the support that I've had? And obviously sickness pay, can't remember what they call it anymore, but what I used to get every week, because I wasn't working, I was sick, pennies. Like, you cannot live on that. You cannot live on it. So I just remember thinking, what are these people doing that have chronic or terminal illnesses that can't afford to work? Like, genuinely can't afford to work. How are they alive? Like, how are they living? And that's just where it came from. The idea came from that. And then I just kind of went off and did it. And then the first thing I did was, I think it was an electric wheelchair for somebody, and she was an amazing lady, but she'd basically been on a roller coaster, and something, a genuine roller coaster, it triggered something that she had probably always had in her body, but this had triggered it, like the impact from the roller coaster, and her brain just started swelling, and she was just paralysed. And she was only getting a normal wheelchair off the NHS, so she couldn't go out, she couldn't do anything. So yeah, I went and bought her an electric wheelchair, and I went and dropped it off. She lived in Blackpool, and that was the first thing that I did. And I dropped it off, and like all of the family were there, and they'd bought me like a card and stuff, and they were all really emotional, and I was just like, wow, like, wow.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, and then it just went from there.
How did you get the electric wheelchair?
I fundraised for it, and then I bought it, so I put an
How
event
did you fundraise
on. I put
for
an
it?
event on, so the first time
The
I
first
did it,
event you've ever done?
I just did it in a pub, yeah, I did a karaoke night in a pub, and I just put it on.
How did you come to that idea? What you're there thinking, right, I'm going to set up a charity like you do, and then you go, right, okay, you've seen this, I'm going to raise money to get this lady a wheelchair, so I'll put a karaoke on in a pub. It was a...
Do you know, it was a pub I used to work at when I was 18, and I was
Yeah.
just like, they'll give it me for free, and I'll just do it. And I just launched the charity that night, and had this karaoke night. Obviously, all my friends and family came down to support me as well. And yeah, we just raised the money for it, and then it went from there. And I was doing events like that, but I was also kind of reaching out to companies and stuff to donate money. And it just every time someone asked me for something, I was like, right, I'm gonna get it, and then I just did it. But then, like I said, it got to the point where I was like, this is a lot. Like, I remember that first charity night I spoke about, I was so sick still, and I was still really skinny, and I had no energy. And I remember just like sitting down like a few hours in and just being like I can't do this, like this is a bit too much. But then, like I said, I delivered the electric wheelchair to the lady, and I was just like, right, what's next? Who needs some more help? So yeah.
What was it like, that dropping that wheelchair
Really emotional.
Did you let yourself get emotional?
Yeah, I did get emotional.
Fully embrace emotional,
Yeah.
just like bibbing
all
and
of us
hugging.
crying.
And...
Yeah, hugging, yeah. Yeah.
Do you allow yourself to get like that?
Yeah, because then that's not authentic if you're not, is it? Like, yeah, and it's the same, like I said, the lady that reached out not that long ago, her daughter, she had a really rare illness called FOXG1 syndrome that not a lot of people know about, but she couldn't lie down because she was having seizures, and I don't think she could swallow properly. This was a long time ago, so I hope I'm getting this right. So she needed to constantly be up, like sat up, but she couldn't sleep like that because it's not comfortable, is it? So she needed this special chair made for her that could help her be comfy but still be propped up enough so she didn't choke. So we raised the money and we got that for her. And like, she used to send me pictures of her in the chair and stuff. And she, like I said, she reached out to me. She saw my post on LinkedIn a couple of months ago, and she reached out, and she worked for a charity now. And she was just saying like she still remembers everything that I did for a little girl and etc. But obviously, like I said, really, really sadly, her little girl's passed away, but now she's like a fundraising manager somewhere, and she didn't do that before, so she's obviously turned that tragedy and trauma into helping people as well. So
Fucking hell.
yeah.
I don't know how you do it, honestly. I do not know how you do it. I know you see the other side of it, Kel, but just them stories and sitting in them stories. Obviously, I'm quite an emotional being. Sitting in them stories for me, I'm like, oh my sweet Lord, how grateful I am to have the life I have. And
100%. I think, like you said as well, though, there's certain stories that might resonate with different people. Like you've obviously said, the little boy resonated with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we see when we go and speak to like business owners or kind of someone that wants to volunteer. There'll be a certain story that's kind of captured them and made them go, wow. And a lot of it is from childhood. Like you said, it's little Tim or little Kelly that you need to look after.
Here he is again. Fucking bastard. Well, you were all right? Nope. Okay, now. So how do we get people to donate now? Where can we send them to? What do you want them to do from this podcast? Just send them straight to you, email you,
send them straight to me, yeah. Put my email on it, on the caption.
What's your email?
Kelly.McFadden.
Yeah.
Without the A, so McFadden @blgc.co.uk. Or send me a message on LinkedIn or on Instagram, or come down to the club, ring us, like anything. There's always somebody there from the team. If you want to donate, volunteer, just want to hear a bit more about it. Christmas is coming, people like to buy a present off the list. Do we have the list?
Where'd you put the list?
We send it to people that ask normally.
So you don't put a list somewhere that people can go in and...
No, we put like stuff on social media to say if you want us to send you something, then we can send it you, kind of thing. Send you the list. Yeah, same with food. Obviously, we will be feeding all the families this Christmas that don't have money for food. A lot of the families can't afford to put the oven on to cook Christmas dinner, so when we spoke to them and asked them what they want, they don't want turkeys and potatoes, they want tins of food that they can cook really easy.
They can't afford to turn the oven on at Christmas.
To cook Christmas dinner, yeah. So
it's legit, that, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
I know we can just say it and then it just want people to pass it over, but you can't afford to turn the oven on at Christmas. It's not a joke.
It's heat or eat. Honestly, like, especially with the families, we used to send a Christmas dinner.
Heat or eat.
Heat or eat. Yeah. We used to send a Christmas dinner to the families, and the feedback that we got was, it's really nice, but we can't afford to cook it. So they just want kind of non-perishable items now, stuff that's dead easy, that they can just warm up. So yeah, we have a list of stuff that the families want, and hygiene products as well, like toilet roll, toothpaste, etc. Because otherwise they won't have anything this Christmas, and it's not all about the presents. Yeah, if we can get Millie her apple and her Milky Bar or whatever it is the young people want, then that's amazing. But if they've got a warm house to be in and some food to eat, whatever that looks like, and a blanket on the bed, then that's more than what they could ask for, really. So
heat or eat.
Heat or eat, yeah.
Fuck me.
Huh? Yeah, which is another thing. Some people like to send fuel cards as well, so we can give them out to families so they can heat the home. We had a family last Christmas. There was stuff on the news as well, but we had a family that ended up hospitalised because of mould in the house because of the damp, because they couldn't afford to put the heating on. So yeah.
That's going on in Bolton.
It's going on everywhere, but yeah, it's the house next door to you. You just don't know it, and it takes a lot of pride for a family to come forward to us and say, I don't have any food, or I don't have any money to put my heating on. Like, imagine that as a parent, to turn around and say, help, like, I cannot afford to feed my children or heat the house that I'm in. That must be heartbreaking, but people are doing it, and people are saying to us that they've never found themselves in this position before. Two working parents, but the cost of living is so high that they suddenly don't have money to feed the children. Yeah.
I was going to do a second podcast with you, but I don't think I can handle it.
You were going to what?
I couldn't do a second podcast. I couldn't fucking handle it. But I need to handle it. What am I on about? What the fuck am I on about?
Yeah.
I need to hear this shit.
And this is what I was saying, like, we need to...
I don't know if people put their heads in the sand and saying, no, they're all right. They don't need my money. I've been down there. It looks great. They've got enough money. No, they haven't.
We haven't. And I think people do put their heads in the sand as well. I think still people think of poverty as like third world, and it's not. Like I said, it's the house next door to you. It's the people down the road. It's normal working families that might have always got by. Yeah. Can't get by anymore. So, yeah.
Just email Kelly, everybody. Just email her. Email her. Kelly, appreciate you.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you for listening, everybody. Goodbye.
Tim Marner, what, you're branded with the best. Tim Marner, what, you're branded with the best. Tim Marner, what,